This month on Connections, we begin our adventures around Chicagoland at the CTA's new sales center, 567 West Lake. Next, it's off to the Blue Line's O'Hare branch for a special anniversary celebration. As we make our way to O'Hare, we'll tell you about expanded bus service that is making life a whole lot easier for North Side customers who need to get from the Shoreline to the Blue Line. Then we head back toward the Loop and make a stop at a neighborhood that should be called Logan Hip. Our destination? Logan Square. We'll hop back onto the Blue Line, continuing our journey toward the South Loop, and along the way introduce you to a young man recently crowned the CTA's best rail operator. If you ride the Blue Line, you just may recognize that smile. As we make our way to our last stop, the Shed Aquarium, we'll tell you about a budget crisis that could affect anyone who uses transit or drives. It's information everyone needs to know. So sit back and enjoy the ride around Chicagoland on the CTA. Glad you've joined us. I'm Dale Rivera. Welcome to Connections, where you can learn how to explore Chicagoland on the CTA. We begin this month at the Green Line's Clinton station, where just steps away you'll find the CTA Sales Center, which moved from the Merchandise Mart to 567 West Lake Street. The CTA Sales Center is our first stop. Whether you need a fare card, map, or other useful CTA information, there's a new location for customers to get a helping hand. All of these services and more are now available at the CTA's new sales center, located on the second floor at 567 West Lake Street, just west of the Loop.
We have 4 customer service windows. We also have a Gift Express display case, which will showcase some of CTA's products. And we also have an automated vending machine where customers can actually come and add value to their transit cards.
The easiest way to get to the new sales center is on the CTA, of course.
Our CTA Sales Center is located at 567 West Lake Street, which is at the Clinton stop on the Green Line, and can also be reached by several nearby bus routes. So it's very convenient for our customers to get to our new location.
The move means big cost reductions for the CTA. That's because the CTA owns the new building. For more than 50 years, the CTA leased office space at the Merchandise Mart. Now, by shifting from renting to owning, the CTA has lowered its operating costs by $7.7 million. It's one more way the CTA is trying to manage its costs and run a modern, professional organization. Getting to the CTA's new sales center at 567 West Lake Street is easy. Just take the CTA. Here's how. If your customer service needs can be met over the phone, the CTA's customer service line is always available, and that number remains the same. Just call 1-888-YOUR-CTA. Where were you 20 years ago? There's a chance you were wearing stonewashed jeans, watching Cheers and Dynasty on television. And if you were in Chicago, maybe you were among the first to take the L all the way to O'Hare Airport. For 20 years, the O'Hare branch of the Blue Line has been keeping air travelers on the move. 20 years ago, there was a dramatic change in Chicago's landscape as the CTA's Blue Line reached its final destination, O'Hare International Airport. In 1984, hundreds of dignitaries and city officials celebrated by riding the first train to O'Hare, along with jazz great Dizzy Gillespie, who trumpeted Duke Ellington's Take the A Train. The ceremony commemorated the opening of the 7.9-mile extension of the CTA's Blue Line and O'Hare's brand new station.
It was something for a world-class city of Chicago now to have world-class transportation from the downtown central business district all the way out to O'Hare International Airport.
The effort to bring direct rail service to O'Hare dates back to 1970, when the first extension from Logan Square to Jefferson Park was built in the Kennedy Expressway median. The further extension of the line to Harlem, Cumberland, Rosemont, and O'Hare not only served the needs of millions of travelers, it also helped to attract businesses and contribute to the rapid development of the city's northwest side.
You'll see tremendous growth that wasn't there before. So it's been a great economic engine and driver for this area.
The CTA's Blue Line boom is still happening today. Now more than 35 million customers take the line back and forth to O'Hare each year. And customers like airport custodian Eula Cochran ride the train 5 days a week.
It's real easy because I have to be at work at 6, and the L will take me from Jefferson Park to here in 15, 20 minutes. Take the train because it's much easier than driving.
The extension of the Blue Line also meant the construction of additional spacious stations, with pedestrian bridges, escalators, and modern features. And the highlight at the end of the line is O'Hare Station, which was designed by world-famous architect Helmut Jahn. In the 21st century, traveling to O'Hare may even get better. The CTA is now developing plans for an express service to the airport, which would be even faster and more convenient for customers coming from downtown. So whether you're a daily commuter or a one-time traveler, you can experience the benefits added 20 years ago with the addition of the O'Hare branch. Just hop on board and let your journey begin with the CTA. Getting to O'Hare on the Blue Line is easy, affordable, and efficient. And now CTA customers traveling to O'Hare who live along the lakefront will have more options when connecting to the Blue Line, thanks to recently expanded bus service. Customers traveling between the Blue Line and the Shoreline may have a quicker commute thanks to new expanded service of the X80 Irving Park Express. The CTA is conducting a 180-day experiment on the X80 route. Service hours have been expanded to include midday and weekend service. Since the route was created in 2002, the X80 has provided customers express service along Irving Park Road during rush hour. Because it is an express route, the bus makes fewer stops, 18 instead of the 65 stops made by the regular number 80 route. This saves time for customers like Rich Evans, who hops on board the X80 to get to his job with the Chicago Department of Aviation.
I take the X80 down to the Blue Line and take that into O'Hare. X80 probably cuts off about 5-10 minutes every day off my commute.
The X80's expanded service hours are a result of a federal grant secured by 5th District Congressman Rahm Emanuel.
We have the funds to be able to run the service for a year, as well as be able to market it.
By expanding the X80's service hours, the CTA is enhancing service for customers who need to quickly travel between the lakefront and the red, brown, and blue lines at times other than rush hour. For customers traveling to O'Hare, the X80 provides an alternative to having to travel downtown.
You're just trying to make people's lives a little more convenient, so the transportation thing is not the thing they worry about. If you have an express bus, you're going to cut 8-10 minutes off and you'll be home a lot quicker.
Since the CTA's launch of the X80 service in 2002, ridership on the route has steadily increased. This expansion of the service means that during non-rush periods, buses will be coming by frequently, every 12 minutes.
This is one more example of a high-quality transit product that we're able to put out for our customers that actually serves an important need, and that is to get people, particularly out to the airport quickly on transit from the North Lakeshore area.
The X80 experiment is just another way the CTA is working to meet customers' needs. At virtually every L stop, CTA customers can step off and savor a different flavor of Chicago. This is, after all, a city of neighborhoods. And if you're looking for a unique taste of architecture, art, and history, you'll find it at this month's destination, Logan Square. Just 6 miles northwest of downtown, Logan Square stands tall as one of the city's most eclectic neighborhoods, With broad boulevards, quaint shops, unique history, and hidden delights, Logan Square takes center stage.
Mark? Hey Dale, welcome to Logan Square.
Thanks.
Mark Roth is our guide for the day and the man behind CenterStageChicago.com, an online guide to all the happenings and hotspots in Chicago. The website's Virtual L takes people to neighborhoods around the city, neighborhoods like Logan Square.
Tell me why Logan Square is such a great destination.
It's sort of a recent development, but Logan Square's really come up of age as people have moved west. And then now you've got some good cafes and restaurants that have popped up. Housing's really affordable. The architecture is really unique. It's a very independent style, so the people really like that now.
Dr. Lewis Coulson of Logan Square Preservation knows that the key to maintaining that independent style is to know the history behind it.
This neighborhood actually was settled by immigrants who came here. Now the immigrants were poor and penniless when they came to this country, but they made their millions here. Now they weren't sophisticated in architecture, but they knew things that they liked.
And one thing that appealed to these immigrants was the neighborhood's existing boulevard system, where grand homes of diverse architectural styles were built. Once part of a larger citywide boulevard system that began at Jackson Park, this stretch of boulevard is now a National Historic District.
If you look at the boulevard system in Logan Square, most of the homes look exactly the way they did in 1900 when they were built.
For a look at this historic neighborhood inside and out, Logan Square Preservation holds their annual House and Garden Walk after Labor Day.
We open up our homes. This year we are doing it, and again next year we will do the very same thing. This is actually the 24th year that we've had the walk open to the public.
Another historic presence in Logan Square is located right in the middle of the neighborhood, a monument to Illinois' centennial anniversary in 1918. It was designed by Henry Bacon, the same man who designed the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C.
Logan Square was that important of a neighborhood that when they did the centennial celebration, they built the monument here.
Today, the area surrounding the monument reflects the multiculturalism of the neighborhood. You'll find an array of ethnic cuisine. There's even a Lutheran church that still holds services in the Norwegian language. But a little further off the beaten path, you'll find some hidden gems.
Well, my favorite one is nobody knows. It's the Walt Disney's birthplace is in this neighborhood.
That's right. Walt Disney spent his childhood in Logan Square.
It is a house like any other house, but I mean, if you think about what must have gone on in there when he was a kid to make Walt Disney, it's a pretty cool place.
And for more hidden gems, just look below the surface.
Probably the one that people know the most, if you're an insider, would be the Vaudeville Underground.
If variety is the spice of life, then look for plenty of spice from the Vaudeville Underground.
We look for talent, all professional talent from around Chicago, and book them for a 10-minute time slot with 9 different acts. And so it's old vaudeville, old variety show with a modern construct of modern performance.
From poets to dancers to singers and acrobats, the Vaudeville Underground is a guaranteed good time.
June through December, we're always here the first Wednesday and Thursday of every month, 7:30, right here at Galati Memorial Hall, which is 2640 West Altgeld.
Logan Square is well worth checking out, and there are a variety of ways to get there on the CTA. Here's how. So the next time you want to get out and explore your city, hop on the CTA and make Logan Square one of your destinations.
The Blue Line will take us back downtown, and if we're lucky, we may get to ride on a train operated by an impressive young man who was among the winners at this year's CTA Rodeo competition. Impressive because he won after only 2.5 years on the job. Every day, Ivan Davis is keeping customer commutes along the CTA's Blue Line on track.
On board a Blue Line train, you know you're in skilled hands, especially when Ivan Davis is in the operator's seat. That's because Ivan won first prize in rail operations at the CTA's 2004 rodeo.
I was in shock. I couldn't speak really. I didn't know what to think because I was a nervous wreck the whole day.
During this year's heated competition, the CTA's best operators were faced with stressful drills that not only tested their ability to operate a train, but also their overall knowledge of train mechanics and the CTA.
I basically went over every book that we've gotten at some point in time during my 2.5 years of operation. So I just crammed and crammed and crammed. Things I already knew, but it was just about fine-tuning and sharpening my skills.
The rodeo judges were very impressed with Ivan, especially since he's a young train operator.
Ivan competed against quite a few guys that had 20 years, 10 years, 15 years of service. So I'm real proud that with 2 years of operating service that he won it.
Along with his big win, you could say that Ivan is definitely headed down the right track.
I see a bright future at the Chicago Transit Authority for him. And if he keeps going at the pace he's going at, there are bigger and brighter things that can occur with him.
You might spot Ivan one of these days on the Blue Line. He's the guy at the front of the train, and he takes his job very seriously, making sure that customers reach their destinations safely and on time.
They rely on us every day to get back and forth to work, back and forth to school for their kids. You know, that's very important.
Ivan will prepare for the International Transit Competition next year, but in the meantime, he's sharing the glory of first prize.
I just have a title right now that's champion, but overall it's the guy that's been working here 20, 25 years, the guy that just got the job and is trying to do his best. Those are the people who are the real winners.
In October, the CTA proposes its budget. This year, the CTA has had to make some very difficult decisions in order to balance its budget because its share of state funding is steadily eroded. Even though it provides 81% of the transit rides in the 6-county metropolitan area, the CTA receives only 59% of the funding. Without adequate funding for transit, CTA customers and anyone who drives throughout the region will feel the impact.
2005 could be the beginning of some very difficult years ahead for commuters in the Chicago area. That's because there's a funding crisis for public transportation in Illinois. Whether you use transit or drive, you could feel the effects.
The situation that the Chicago Transit Authority finds itself in this year is after years of erosion in our public funding, we've reached crisis stage. And what we've been saying is that unless this General Assembly chooses to take a hard look at how public transportation is funded in this region, we're going to have to make some hard choices. And those hard choices will be reduced service and higher fares.
Public transportation is vital to our region's growth and health. It reduces congestion, improves air quality, and saves commuters money and the hassle of driving. Imagine the Chicago area without it.
The congestion would be unbearable, the air quality would be unbearable, and a lot of people who can't afford to drive into the city and park would have a hard time working and living in the city. And the overall quality of life for the city, I think, would just be damaged.
Public transportation also contributes to the economic stability of our 6-county region. The CTA is the heart of one of the country's most extensive public transit networks. Together with Metra and Pace, the CTA is serving the needs of customers and drivers traveling throughout the region. And when you think of the CTA, don't just think of service in the city. In fact, the CTA provides 81% of all transit rides in the region, including nearly 50% of all suburban transit trips. Despite that, the CTA has experienced a steady erosion in funding on the state level, and that could put service in jeopardy come 2005 and beyond. In fact, while the CTA provides 81% of service in the region, it receives only 59% of the funding. Without additional money from the state of Illinois, the CTA will no longer be able to sustain service at current levels.
We've got a structural problem in the fact that the way the transportation is funded is not tied to ridership, it's not tied to volume, it's not tied to demand, it's not tied to anything. It's tied to this arbitrary sales tax formula that has nothing to do with the transportation patterns in the region.
State dollars go into the CTA's operating budget, That's the budget that supports bus and train service, which is different from the CTA's other budget, the capital budget.
CTA gets two types of funds. One for capital projects, which are used to build new stations, to rebuild, to buy new buses. But what we're talking about now is the funds that we need to actually operate those buses and trains. And this is where the structure that was created by the legislature has eroded our ability to actually put services on the street.
Current funding is based on a formula that dates back to 1983.
On the operating side of the budget, things are pretty bleak, quite frankly, and that is because the last time this was looked at by the Illinois General Assembly, which determines the funding levels of public support, public funding for transit, was 1983, and it's been over 20 years. At the federal level, these issues get looked at every 6 years, and it's really past time for the Illinois General Assembly to take a look at that and see whether they're satisfied with what's been happening with funding.
Under the current funding formula, transit in northeastern Illinois is funded through a 1% sales tax in Cook County and a 0.25% in collar counties. 85% of those taxes are divided geographically among Metra, PACE, and the CTA.
For us, because of the fact that the sales tax in our region has grown at less than the rate of growth in the suburbs, CTA's overall public funding has dropped and has continued to be eroded as the years have gone by.
That has resulted in lost revenue over the last 20 years that the CTA estimates at $1.4 billion.
We've been losing almost 1% a year in total public subsidy or funding for transit. And the fact of the matter is that can't keep going on, because over that 20 years, that's added up to a total of $1.4 billion if we just kept up with inflation. It's got to be addressed, or we're going to just have to face the fact that we're going to be seeing some very, very massive restructuring of the CTA, which means massive cuts.
If state legislators fail to support an increase in CTA funding levels, and the CTA is forced to cut service, many of us will feel the effects. If you drive, you will have to contend with more cars on the road. A daunting prospect when you consider Chicago is already the third most congested city in America. And CTA customers who depend on public transportation to get to work and their employers will be hard hit. After all, public transit is a critical component to a healthy, vibrant economy.
It's critical for two reasons. It's the way we get our employees to work and return home, and also it gives us a competitive edge.
That competitive edge is what led one of America's most prominent companies to relocate its headquarters to Chicago, the Boeing Company.
Boeing took a look at this city from geographically as to where it sits in the United States, O'Hare Airport, but also the importance of transit for their employees. They went through it in Seattle. They knew a system that wasn't working, and they're look toward a city like Chicago where they knew that the system could work. We need to live up to that promise that we made to Boeing, that we do have the best transit system in the United States of America.
UPS also knows something about that competitive edge. To stay competitive, keep employees, and attract new ones, UPS partnered with the CTA to create two special bus routes, the number 168 and the number 169, to serve its southwest suburban Hodgkins facility. UPS feels service cuts could have a dramatic impact.
Anything that feeds into those lines could have a dramatic negative effect on our employees, and that's what really concerns us.
Employees like Johnny Common, who depend on the special CTA bus routes.
It's really important that we have CTA come here to UPS, because a lot of these people would not be working here.
It is incumbent upon the Chamber of Commerce and all of the business organizations to truly understand the critical nature of CTA funding and the possibility of a reduction in service. There are a number of people, our CEOs, that drive. Most of their employees do not, and they have to be able to identify with that. We have a transit system that moves people every day to and from work. And so it's critical that we not only maintain it, but we look to the future and ensure the operations are funded properly and that our system is up to par as we continue to attract more and more businesses to our city.
Smart money management over the years has helped the CTA not only balance its budget, but provide better service along the way. In fact, since 1997, the CTA has saved over $760 million by implementing cost-saving measures, such as cutting more than 400 jobs and taking advantage of more efficient technology by switching from cash fares to electronic fare cards. In addition, the CTA has been able to make dramatic improvements to its infrastructure over recent years, thanks to a strong capital budget, funded largely with federal dollars. Its momentum the CTA does not want to lose.
Now, given the fact that that money's been invested in those systems, we really hope that we have enough money to be able to run them as they should be run to the benefit of all the people in the region. And that's really what this is all about.
At the end of the day, it's all about getting customers where they need to go on a safe, reliable, and affordable CTA.
I'm just thankful for that they have the CTA coming here to UPS, because I don't know where I would be.
What we've been telling our riders and our customers to do is to write, their state reps, write their state senators, write the governor, let everyone know how important the CTA is to their daily lives. We are committed to maintaining a high quality level of service. The last thing we want to do is have to cut service or increase fares, but it's something that we may have to do if the General Assembly doesn't act this year. If we're successful, we're hoping that you'll have a healthy CTA that can touch even more riders than we already touched today.
For more information on the CTA's funding, visit the website listed on your screen.
When you get off the Green Line at Roosevelt, you're just a short bus ride away from one of the country's most impressive museums. Here, you'll be able to experience the aquatic world as a well-traveled scuba diver would, without ever getting on a plane or even getting in the water. The Shed Aquarium is our last stop.
Winter may be approaching, but there's one place in Chicago where you can feel like you're in the tropics year-round: Chicago's Shed Aquarium.
We have animals from all over the world. We have fishes, reptiles, amphibians, invertebrates, marine mammals from pretty much all ends of the earth.
The Shed is the world's largest indoor aquarium, with a renowned reputation that attracts nearly 2 million visitors each year from all over.
It was awesome. I love dolphins.
So leave the scuba gear at home and get ready for an aquatic adventure at the Shed. And remember, the CTA can get you there.
The number 12 Roosevelt bus will drop us off at the Shed next month for the beginning of another adventure around Chicagoland. I'm Dale Rivera. See you in November on Connections.
For more information about the CTA or to use the RTA's trip planner, visit our website at www.transitchicago.com. Or for customer service matters, call 1-888-YOUR-CTA. For travel information, call the RTA at 836-7000 from anywhere in the Chicago area.
I've been uptown, downtown, Chinatown,
Old Town,
Evanston, Pullman, O'Hare, Logan Square, Forest Park, Oak Park, Hyde Park, Lincoln Park, Soldier Field, Ridley Field, Garfield, Marshall Fields. I've been everywhere, man. Serving Chicago and 40 suburban communities with connections beyond. CTA, take it everywhere.